fear puts us on our toes. And so fear actually is not bad. Everything depends on whether we conquer the fear or whether we let the fear conquer us. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus, in his day, did a thing which was very brave. He set his direction out into an unknown sea, toward an unknown, uncharted place. Christopher Columbus had quite a bit of trouble with his crew. They were afraid. Now I imagine that Christopher Columbus himself was many times fearful of what might be ahead for them. But the important thing was that Christopher Columbus so guided his crew that they ended up being masters over the fear rather than letting their fear master them and thus compelling them to turn back to the safety of familiar land. And so as I stand on the diving board, fear, as I stand there, is good. But it makes me very cautious as I prepare to jump. It puts me on my toes, tones up my whole body and mind. The only question, the really important question, is whether I freeze and quickly return to the edge of the pool, letting fear conquer me, or whether through courage and strength I conquer my fear. As you move on in your education, you will continually be confronted with new ideas, new ways of looking at things. Many times you'll be afraid of these ideas, these new ways. But again, the important thing is whether you let the fear so control you that your mind becomes closed and thus you cease to grow, or whether you can conquer your fear and be receptive to, open to what is new, and thus continually grow and develop as a person. And then finally, as I stand on the diving board, the need for courage and strength. Have you ever done something that really was kind of hard to do and you were afraid to do it, but finally, some way you mustered up the courage to go ahead? Then do you remember the great joy and thrill of standing then on the other side and looking back, feeling, I did it, I did it, I did it. This is something of the way that I used to feel when I would go to a doctor and have to have a shot. The great thrill of walking back to the car when it was all over, thinking, I actually did it. I didn't turn around and run out of the door when I saw the doctor coming with the needle. One of the greatest rewards of life, doing something that you felt like that maybe you couldn't do. Each of us has tremendous reserves of strength and courage. We call on only a fraction of what we are actually capable of doing. A friend of mine tells of there being a fire in a feed and seed store in which he worked. And in the midst of the fire, they were trying to get as much of the supplies out of the building as possible. When everything had died down, he suddenly realized that he had carried out this bag sitting by him, a 200-pound bag of feed, something that if he had sat back and thought about, he never could have done. But he had the reserve there, beyond his imagination, which, when he called upon it, actually functioned for him. If all we do is just stand and wait to get the strength and courage, all we do is just stand and wait for fear to disappear before we move out into something new. Or if we're just complacent and satisfied with what we are now, the level to which our minds and bodies have developed, then we will never be anything different. For if we just stand and wait for fear to disappear, or if we stand and wait for courage which will make the fear disappear, we'll never be moving. We'll always just stand. For the only way that we really find the resources for doing what is hard is by actually jumping in, beginning to do it, actually diving. Once we do jump in, we find that we do have reserves beyond our imagination, and that with these reserves we can conquer the situations we're thrown into, and thus continually grow, become someone bigger and better than we are now. See, really the question comes down to this. Do you really want to live or die? If you want to die, it's very easy. All you have to do is just let fear conquer you, or to just stand and wait until the fear disappears, or just to be satisfied with what you now are. Very easy. For to die, all that is required of you is just to stand and do nothing. If you want to live, though, you have to view the hard requirements of life as opportunities. And you have to jump, knowing that once you do jump, that you will be calling upon your reserves, which are there. And as a result, you will become bigger, better, growing person. Each day we stand on a diving board, each of us, and the choice is ours.